Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan, also the North Central Chaplain for Broken Chains, JC. It is a pleasure to be with you today. Today is Sunday, January 28th, 2023. We are looking at Proverbs chapter 28, and we're going to look at verse 5 today. And so in verse 5 it says, "Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand everything." And the first thing that jumped at me as I looked at this today was a conversation that I was having yesterday with a honest person who struggling with the concept of a God who sees things happen the way they do. If he was all-knowing, all-present, everything, why didn't he create laws differently so that we didn't have to deal with things? And that, let's be honest, that's a great question. If he's all-knowing and he knew what was going to happen, why would he choose to create a law that says if you sin, death must be the answer for it? Why would he create a covenant that says that you follow all my laws, and then knowing that no man could ever follow all of them perfectly? Why would he create a circumstance where one of those two parties would have to die so he could make a new covenant, so that we could have a kingdom life today? If he was all-knowing, why would that happen? Good morning, Ron. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Rhonda. Glad you're here. Those are all good questions, aren't they? And you may never have articulated them out loud, but if you're honest with yourself, you've thought them. And I have. I've articulated them out loud. I've argued them. I've debated them from both sides. Yesterday, I spent a couple hours in this conversation. And he was sincere in his conversation about why he doesn't understand why a God would do that. And I kept coming back to, well, that was the law that God put in place, and because of it, it required this outcome. And he kept saying, but I don't understand why God couldn't just change it, or why did he make that law in the first place? And the reality is, you and I, we want to be able to say straight, I don't know. And I don't. And at one point he even said, honestly, I couldn't do any worse than what your God did in making decisions. And I looked at him and I said, I get it. I've been where you're at. I understand. Although I've made much more stupid decisions than that in my lifetime, so I know I'm not one to be really, truly trusted. And so that was one of those things that it was there. I can't really say I would do a better job than God. Although I understood where he was coming from, because if he had all knowledge and all understanding, and he knew from the beginning what the end was, maybe he could have made a better decision. But when it comes down to it, Solomon, who was the wisest man who ever lived, God told him that was the case because Solomon asked for wisdom, and God said, because you asked for it, I'm going to give it to you. Solomon says in Proverbs 28, having a conversation with his sons, training them in how to lead people. He says, evil men do not understand justice, or evil men do not understand the verdict. And evil is not that word of just absolute morally destitute. That word is men who think of themselves first and miss the mark. It's not the depth of evil that you and I think of with the word evil, right? We think of evil people like Hitler, like Genghis Khan, those people in history that were just reprehensible, right? Or the person that molested that young girl, or maybe molested you. We would say that was evil, right? But this word is that less than that. It is the idea of being bad. It is missing the mark. It's mischievous. It's naughty. That's literally one word that can be translated for that word raw. Naughty. We can't understand justice. We can't understand a verdict. We are not God. But Solomon says this: those who seek Yahweh, the creator of heaven and earth, will understand all. The understand all, it's really powerful. It means that we have the ability to separate ourselves from the equation and say, I'm not God. And so when we're having those thoughts in our heads, like Paul, like David, we need to be able to say, I'm not God, but I know He is. And when I trust Him, I can separate myself from that equation. Today, it's okay to question, but we always have to land back on, but I'm not God. The decisions I've made, even with good knowledge. Guys, I'm standing here, I've been divorced twice. The second marriage should never have failed because I had failed once before. I had good knowledge, and yet I made dumb choices. Right? I can't say that I would have made a better decision. Evil men, bad men, naughty people don't understand the idea of justice. They don't understand the verdict. But when you and I seek the Lord, we can divide up and say, it's not about me. It's important to remember that today. I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.